What would happen to your business if you got injured on the job? Let's talk about that today. I'm Frank, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs start and grow their lawn care business. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button to be notified of my future videos. What's going on, lawn care pros? Hey, so today I'm here with you and I want to go over some things when it comes to being a solo operator. Recently, I did a video on how much money can you make in the lawn care business. And I dove in and as one of my examples, I used a solo operator doing X number of lawns throughout the year and making a certain amount of money. But today I want to kind of get into what happens if that solo operator gets hurt on the job. So think about this. What happens if you're out mowing a lawn as a solo operator, you get hurt? What happens? Does your business go out of business? Are you able to recover? What do you do then? Maybe you're mowing or doing whatever and you twist your ankle, you're out for a couple weeks. Maybe you even break your ankle and you're out for 6 to 7 weeks. What do you do then? So we want to kind of prepare for that before it happens, because let's just imagine that does happen to you. Maybe you hurt your ankle, maybe you hurt your back or whatever it may be. If that happens to you, that's kind of the last thing on your mind. What am I going to do with my lawns that I need to mow tomorrow, the next day, or several weeks after that? And that's something that you're not going to really, be honing in on when you're hurt, right? The last thing you're going to do is, or want to do, is call people out of desperation and try to figure out how you can cover, your mowing schedule. And I can tell you from experience, from seeing other lawn care service providers being in that same situation, the customer's not going to wait for you. They're not going to be waiting for you for, a week, 2 weeks, whatever the circumstances might be. They're going to move on because your competitor is really a phone call away. So you want to prepare for this kind of incidents before it happens. So what's some of the things that we can think of doing to prepare ourselves for this kind of crisis? Well, one of the things that I recommend is go ahead and pair up with other service providers in your area and see if, before this happens, pair up with them, get to know some of your service providers, and maybe some of them are, into fertilization, weed control. Maybe they have a small division where they do the lawn maintenance side, and it might be a good fit for you. If something happens, that they can pick up some of your lawns while you are recovering, right? And you can split the revenues during that period of time, but the most important thing is you're not going to lose all your accounts. And that's one way you can prepare for it. Another thing that you can do potentially, and this is something that I would get with a tax professional, is when you establish your LLC or however way you end up, structuring your business, you're going to want to talk to an accountant and see, how can we, pay our taxes in a way where we can be a W-2 employee ourselves. And in most cases, that's hard to do if you're the solo operator, but there are ways to do that. So after you have, discussed it with your accountant, you want to get with the state, depending on what state you're in, and figure out how workman's comp works in your state. So if you're a W-2 employee, you can probably get workman's comp insurance for yourself. And you got to kind of weigh the pros and cons of that and see how much that costs. But that's one way of kind of covering yourself just in case you do get hurt. But the most important way to cover yourself is to have a team of people ready that are able to take on some of the tasks that you're not able to do, like the mowing, the shrub work, and all the maintenance that's going to come along as you are, disabled. So you want to get those people in line. And I recommend, not just getting with one lawn care company, but several lawn care companies. And another thing, you might want to consider is, even as a solo operator, you might want to go ahead and start training someone, if you're looking to advance, or, maybe you're using somebody part-time, even though you're a solo operator, and you can train them on your procedures. So in previous videos, we've talked about setting up procedures, and one of the main reasons that we've done that is so if we have a new hire, we can easily transition them into the position, right? So you want to do that as a solo operator from the get-go. So you want to really document your daily activity. So, if you have someone part-time or a relative or the people that are going to, whoever it's going to be, to pick up, where you left off, you're injured and you want to have somebody pick up right where you left off, you can kind of give them the playbook, right? You can tell them, this is what I do and this is how I route. Like, these are the lawns that I go to on Monday. These are the lawns that I go to Tuesday. And this is the way I go to them, and this is how I do the work that I do. I mow, edge, weed eat, and you want to just really document all that, not just for the purpose of being able to hand it off to somebody else as a new hire, but you want to be able to hand that off to someone that's going to replace you for a short period of time while you're recovering, right? So I want to share with you a story, a real life situation where this particular operator was in business for, I want to say 10 to 12 years. And the person that I knew wasn't actually the operator. The person that I knew was the homeowner. And the homeowner was using this operator, I want to say for like 5 years. And this operator wasn't necessarily a solo operator, but he was pretty close to being a solo operator. It was him, and he had, I believe, 1 or 2 sons that were helping out, but you can tell the sons weren't going to follow in dad's footsteps. It looked like they were going to go to college and do other things besides lawn care. And they also had like 1 or 2 other employees that were kind of part-time, looked like high school kids that they would use, whenever they're doing leaf cleanup and other things during the winter months. So this particular operator, he did contracts where it was annual contracts. So they basically came year round, and they would mow on the regular seasons, and they would do the shrubs and any other things like flower bed cleanups. And in this particular area, the friend that I had, she had a ton of trees. So during the winter months, the operator would do the leaf cleanup, and it was like tons of leaves, and they kept, very busy, right? And I remember it was really close to Thanksgiving one year where this operator came down ill, and it wasn't, a broken ankle. It wasn't something minor like that. It was pretty major. I think it was something to do with his liver, and he was messaging everyone and letting them know, hey, I'm going to be out 1 or 2 weeks. And it wasn't that difficult for him to maneuver that during that time of year, because some of the lawns that that he had didn't have a ton of leaves. My friend, her lawn, it was a ton of leaves, so it was problematic for that particular lawn, but not every lawn. So he was able to kind of manage it and for a few weeks, but this kind of extended out where his illness became worse, and he was out for like 2 or 3 months. And ultimately he ended up losing every lawn in that neighborhood. And I know in that in that small neighborhood, he had well over 12 lawns. I want to say he had like 5 or 6 just on that street. So he ended up losing his business after being in business 10, 12 years, because, his sons weren't able to step up to the plate, and he really didn't have the layers in place when it comes to a business. He didn't have somebody answer the phone. He didn't have, an operations manager. He didn't have several crews or crew leaders that could really step up to the plate and take on that burden while he was, recovering, and ultimately he lost his business. So my point is, with this story, you don't want this to happen to you. You want to have a contingency plan of when something like this happens to you, you have people in place that are able to take on your business. And even if that buys you a little bit of time to either recover, or maybe you don't recover to the point where you're going to come back to the business, but ultimately you can sell that business, right? He didn't even end up having the opportunity to sell his business. Imagine 10 to 12 years of building up a business, and poof, it's gone. So, that example I gave you, I want you to really think about that and how you can, prevent some of those things from happening. Now, this might be, a time for you to kind of look at the situation and go, do I really want to be a solo operator? Do I want to, grow my business where I have layers? Now, there's pros and cons to both of those situations, but this is an example where, as a solo operator, this is a con, right? The pros of being a solo operator are, the flexibility of your time and not having to deal with employees. But here, this is one big con, right? The con is that if something happens to you, who's going to do the work? Who's going to pick up the slack? And where is your business going to be in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 or 5 months? Can your business, carry on that burden? I can tell you again from experience that the customers are not going to wait for you. They're going to call the first person or, your competitor, and they're going to move on and get their lawn done. Obviously, that's not something you want. So take the opportunity to kind of assess the situation before that happens, right? Before, something happens where you've got a broken ankle, a hurt back, bad shoulder, whatever it might be. Assess the situation now so you can prepare for it when it happens, or, hopefully it doesn't happen, but at some point it might happen. So we want to assess the situation, and we want to come up with a game plan as far as, do I want to get with, 3, 4, 5 contractors and let them know, hey, I'm in the same situation. Maybe you find a solo operator that you can go, hey, we need to both be prepared for a situation like that. So let's kind of come to an agreement, and we can even test the waters, right? I'm going to go on vacation for a week, and I want you to take on my accounts, and we can do like a 50-50 split. And then when you're ready to go on vacation, we can do the same thing for you. And in that way, you can really test the waters and see if this contractor is the right contractor to take on those accounts and, keep the high standards that you're used to. Make sure you have those procedures in place so you can give them the playbook, right? Because they might do things differently, and your customers might be used to the way you do things, and you don't want to interrupt that. So you want to give that other contractor a playbook. Hey, this is how I do it. This is how we do the routing and so forth and so on. And then you're going to do the same thing for them. So this also, in essence, solves a problem, not just for when you get hurt, but if you want to take a vacation, right? You can come to an agreement with that person. Hey, let's take, I'm going to take the first week of December, or you take the second week of December, whatever it might be. And you can set this up with several different contractors until you find that person or that contractor that is going to be able to meet the standards that you're used to. So I just shared with you guys that example, and what I want is, if you're a contractor, solo operator, or you were a solo operator at some point, and now you've developed your business where you've got crew members, and maybe you're doing several $1 million a year, whatever it might be, whatever stage you are in the lawn care business, if you would kind of share your experience. If you have an experience like that, maybe you were hurt at some point during your journey in the lawn care business, and let us know how you handle it, because we want to help other people in the community, young entrepreneurs that are just starting out, to really start thinking about some of these things. And I think there's no better way to kind of, hit home than providing some examples. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. See you next time, Lawn Care Pros.